Hi, this is Christopher Wook from Android Authority, and we're here with a review of the Lenovo IdeaTab A2109. A little while back, we reviewed the IdeaTab S2110, which is Lenovo's answer to the Asus Transformer series. This little guy is kind of their answer to the Nexus 7, but with a larger 9-inch screen. We'll talk about whether or not that's a good thing later on. The IdeaTab A2109 retails for around $259. With the 16GB version of the Nexus 7 now selling for just $199, the 16GB version of this doesn't look as good as it would have a month or two ago. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the device itself. As you can see, the A2109 isn't really as sleek as some of the other tablets we've seen recently, but it's far from ugly. On the front of the device, we find the screen and the 1.3 megapixel front camera. On the left, we see the volume rocker, headphone jack, and a switch that will lock the screen to either portrait or landscape mode. This makes it easier to use the tablet at various angles without inadvertently changing the screen's orientation. On the right side, we find two ports, one micro USB and one mini HDMI port. On the top of the tablet, we find the power switch, while nothing is located on the bottom of the device. Finally, on the back of the device, we find the 3 megapixel rear camera and the speakers, along with their SRS WOW branding. The speaker location makes them hard to accidentally cover with your hands, no matter how you're holding the tablet. The IdeaTab A2109 runs a skinned version of Android 4.0.4 Ice Cream Sandwich. There is no word on whether or not Jelly Bean will be coming to the tablet, but with Lenovo remaining quiet so far, it doesn't seem too likely. While a lot of users prefer stock Android, especially on tablets, Lenovo's skin doesn't seem to negatively impact performance too much. Unlike the S2110 we reviewed, there is no lag when scrolling through the home screens or the app drawer. In general, the tablet's performance is good. The quad-core Tegra 3 processor makes 3D gaming very smooth, and in our testing we never noticed any significant slowdowns, even with resource-intensive apps and games. As with most tablets, there is nothing especially wonderful about the 3 megapixel camera on the back of the A2109. Sure enough, it does take photos, but it doesn't do anything especially impressive with them. While the camera is capable of capturing 1080p video, the low frame rate makes it nearly unusable. Like the other Lenovo tablet we looked at recently, the build quality of the IdeaTab A2109 is very solid. The tablet doesn't bend or flex even when you apply more pressure than you would in normal use. There is a downside here, however. That solid build makes the tablet heavier than a lot of its peers, and this weight combined with the slightly bulky build makes holding the tablet for extended periods of time uncomfortable. There is one other problem related to build quality, and it lies in the motor that provides the tablet's haptic feedback. A loud buzzing is apparent whenever haptic feedback occurs, and it seems to get louder depending on where on the screen you tap. Instead of feeling like the tablet is vibrating, it's very clear that it's just a tiny motor in the lower left side of the tablet. This could just be a problem with the review unit we received, as the S2110 we reviewed didn't have this issue, but it makes it feel very cheap. The A2109 shares its screen resolution with the Nexus 7, but because it uses a 9-inch screen instead of a 7-inch screen, there is a loss in pixel density, and text and images don't look as clear as a result. While some users may still prefer the larger screen, the loss of sharpness is a major downside. To wrap up the review, while the Lenovo IdeaTab A2109 is a decent tablet that does perform well, there are plenty of better options at its price point of $259. If they did drop the price, as Google recently did with the Nexus 7, it might be worth picking up, especially if you like the 9-inch form factor, but right now it just doesn't stack up. Now we'd like to know what you think. Are we wrong about the IdeaTab? Have you got any suggestions for better tablets in this price range? Let us know. This has been Christopher Wook for Android Authority, and as always, we'd love to hear what you think of this video and other videos on our channel. Thanks.